we talk about the randomness. From ancient Rome to UFOs, we'll take you where the weirdness goes. It's two guys talking way too loud about stuff that makes no sense, but we're kinda proud.
Well, hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Tim Sawhook, and I'm one of your co-hosts, and I'm joined by my best friend and an amazing co-host, Billy Parchman. Billy, how you doing today?
Man, I am super excited to get this podcast up and running. Oh, we've put some work into it, and
Yes.
I hope it's good. I hope y'all love it. So
Yeah. I know it's going to be super fun. We put a lot of work in behind the scenes. We want you guys to have a great experience along with us. And what's great about all the everything podcasts is guess what we talk about, Billy?
What is that, Tim?
All the everything, right?
Everything, right?
So each week we're going to be bringing you a different topic, a fun one. We want to interact with you guys, the listeners. Maybe you guys will suggest a topic for us to tackle that week. But we have a lot of fun ones lined up for you. And since today is Halloween, spookiest time of the year, Billy.
Yeah, that's right. And also, can I just mention, throw this out there, get it out there. Today is a national holiday, Tim. Did you know that?
I do know. I don't really want to discuss it with you.
Well, today is a very important day. It's not only Halloween, but it is the legendary Coach Nick Saban's birthday. Happy birthday, Coach.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Roll Tide. Just had to put it out there, but
we're literally 2 minutes in, and you've already
2 minutes already
alienated all our audience of people who do not like Alabama.
That's okay. I still love y'all, and hopefully you'll love me. I won't be too obnoxious with it, but today's a special day. It's Coach's birthday.
He probably will be a little obnoxious with it. It's an Alabama fan. What do you expect?
Oh, what? Kind of like those Yankee fans, right?
Yeah. So the Yankee fans are crying right now.
I know. Rough night.
It's rough. But being our first episode and our Halloween episode, we wanted to go big. Maybe not super scary, but enough to make you think
maybe a little spooky
about going outside, right? So our topic today, if we were going to do a drum roll, Billy, you want to tell them what it's all about? It's going to be
urban legends, y'all.
Urban legends. You know them, you love them, and you probably believe them. So what we did is we did some research, and we found like the top 20, top 30 urban legends out there, and we picked about 4 or 5 of those for you guys today, and we'll have plenty to do more when we do another episode on urban legends. But we wanted to give you a little taste of some of the ones that we love, and at the end we even have a little surprise. So you have to stay tuned for the very end of this podcast, because we're gonna have a little fun with an urban legend that you guys all know and love, unless you're like super young and you never heard of it. But you're gonna know after this, right, Billy?
That's right. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Me too. So, without further ado, I think we should just get right into it.
Let's go. Let's roll in it.
All right. So the first urban legend, this is one of my favorites from the 90s, is Candyman. What do you think about Candyman when you hear that just outright?
Bees and yeah.
You only think about bees? That's not too bad. I mean,
well, there's other things, but it's a little spooky.
We'll save those for the
I don't want to steal your thunder, you know what I mean?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So getting into Candyman. Candyman was a movie that came out in the 90s. To be exact, it was 1992. It was October 16th, right around Halloween time. And so the whole Candyman thing is based upon an urban legend from a story from 1985. It came from a book called The Forbidden from Clive Barker. And, it's inspired by other urban legends like Bloody Mary, Hookman, and combined with some like tragic historical events that happened.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'll talk about it here in a minute, but like Candyman is one of those people who is really like a classic, not psycho killer. He's more of a sad killer.
Yeah.
It'd be the same. He's got a sad background that drives them to this. So the real life inspiration for this, did you know there was a real life inspiration for Candyman?
There usually is with urban legends. Like that's kind of where, they're based off of something that's, people told, so yeah, there's always a foundation there.
Thanks for making me feel dumb about knowing what an urban legend comes from. Obviously, that's based on a true story. I was wondering if you knew the true story.
I knew that. Yeah.
All right. Well, it is based on a really sad story. So I'm not going to laugh at this part of it.
Right.
It's based on a 1987 murder of Ruthie Mae McCoy. Now, Ruthie Mae, she was someone who lived alone in the projects Cabrini Green in Chicago, and she was dealing with some mental illness. And what the Cabrini Green in those projects back in those days, they were made exactly the same. So if the bathroom was here, behind it was another bathroom and another bathroom, so forth and so on. And so at one point, she's home alone. She hears like this crashing noise, right? And she's totally terrified, scared. She calls 911 and she's like, I think somebody is coming through my wall. I just heard my cabinet in the bathroom crash to the ground. I think someone's coming in. I can hear them talking. She calls 911. They don't really take her seriously. They're like, I don't think anyone's coming through the wall. Again, she has a history of calling the police. She has the mental illness she's been dealing with. And she ends up getting killed. She gets killed by the people who intrude. And the sad part about it for this, besides her being already murdered, is that when she called and they came, since the police did not want to get sued for coming in, they never broke down the door. So she laid there dead, I think, for a total of 3 or 4 days, if I have the timeline right.
Oh.
And then they came in and they found out she was murdered. Her cabinet from the bathroom did get kicked in, and they could see straight through to the next apartment.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I know. So what happens is the bad guys, they take advantage and they know this works. So they go through all of Cabrini Green and breaking through into people's homes when they're there, not there, coming right through the mirror and totally destroying people's lives like that. It's so sad.
Oh, goodness.
Could you imagine?
That's the okay.
Poor Ruthie Mae.
I'm telling you.
R.I.P. Ruthie. We're here for you. So Candyman gets its urban legend from the real story, sadly enough.
Right.
And it also has like a historical backdrop to it for Candyman. Like I said, he was a very tragic character.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read a little bit from my notes. It says Candyman's tragic backstory. He was a lynched black artist. His name was Daniel Robital, and it draws from a real racial violence situation. So back in the early 19th century, or late 19th century rather, anytime they would find out that there was a person of color dating a white person, then that was bad news. And so that's what happened. He had fallen in love with one of the rich people he knew, the daughter, and they were together, and the town got wind of it, the family got wind of it, and they tracked him down and hung him, cut off his hand, and then put honey all over his body so the bees would come and then just really destroy him and kill him. So it's so scary and sad about the lynchings that used to happen like that because of just two people of different color coming together and loving each other, which is really terrifying. So the movie draws on that as well. It pulls in that historical thing and, you know, the mob violence back in the day, the lynching, and you kind of get that story. It was set, I talked about it a moment ago, in Chicago. It was set on the, they say, the notorious Cabrini Green housing projects. It was plagued with crime, poverty, police neglect. And so it created a really bleak and haunting environment for the movie, for the atmosphere. Had you ever heard of Cabrini Green ever?
I haven't.
Scary movies or stories? Okay.
No.
So, Legend of Carrie, I'll go into more about the movie right now. The Candyman movie, like I said, it starred actor Tony Todd, which he is super fun and creepy. He's really tall, got a really deep voice, and when you call for him, he comes for you. But how they set it up is that in the movie, if you go look in a mirror and you say Candyman 5 times,
yep,
that he will appear behind you with his hooked hand and gut you from behind, right?
Yep, you gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally freaked me out. You're totally dead. You're gone. So, have you, Billy, ever gone to the mirror and said Candyman 5 times?
I have, and it was
tell your story.
Freaky. Okay, so sleepovers.
Yeah.
Growing up, staying with my best friend my childhood best friend Chris's house, and it we did that. Candyman, 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 and then get all freaked out, and of course somebody just screams and grabs you and like scares you when you. It's creepy. It's creepy.
It is
Yeah.
creepy,
Mhm.
and it was really scary. So back, I say it came out in '92. I started dating my wife back in late 96, 97. And anytime
Yep.
I would watch that movie, I got her to watch it one time, and that's never happened since.
Yeah,
But
no.
I would come up and like do the Candyman voice and whatever, and she'd be totally freaked out, screaming about it. It didn't go over very well,
Sure.
but
As
I had
expected.
fun with it. It just, you scare your wife. And so I tried to get her to go in the bathroom and do the Candyman thing with me. It didn't happen. I did
No.
it. Nothing appeared except my shadow, which kind of scared me in the dark bathroom. When I turned the lights on, it was a really terrifying time for me, Billy.
I bet. I can imagine.
I don't want to cry on camera, but no. But yeah. And so Candyman legend was born. It had been around
Mhm.
before since 1986, Clive Barker's book. You have the horrible story about Ruthie Mae. They make this movie. The movie goes insanely popular. It's a
Mhm.
cult classic to this day.
Absolutely.
Whether you think it's great filmed, if it was badly filmed, bad acting, whatever, people watch it, especially now during Halloween season, on Halloween.
Mhm.
And it creeps people out so much, and it really gives them that feel of Candyman. And in the movie, he's surrounded by bees everywhere. It's all over him. He does fall in love with one of the reporters who's coming in to find out the real story in Cabrini Green about the legend of the Candyman. And then all the crazy, weird, fun things that ensue after that. So, Candyman, it's a cool one. It's a twist on like some of the older Bloody Mary things, the Hook Man stories you've heard from urban legends before.
Mhm.
But what it comes down to, you got this really blend of historical tragedy, real world events, and urban legend like Candyman makes a unique and enduring horror story for time and time and time to go. And that is Candyman.
And that is Candyman. Goodness gracious.
Woo! I felt like I was kind of scared talking about Candyman.
I'm telling you, like,
I thought I saw the hook behind my head.
And doing research for this podcast, for this episode, I had to make sure I didn't do it right before bed. I mean,
yeah, right.
Because then you just go to bed and like, oh, I mean, geez, Louise, I'm a 6'2", 350-pound guy, so I mean, I'm pretty intimidating, but still, sounds in the night, man.
Well, you know what? I would like to say he used to be like over 500 pounds. This man has lost over 100 pounds.
That's
completely
right.
off topic, but this is my boy. You got to give him some recognition.
I appreciate that. Yeah, working hard.
Man, hold there and smile for 1 second. Just give me a smile. Look at that. It's like we have Chris Pratt on this podcast with us.
He's a good-looking dude, so I appreciate that.
Now you get that a lot though, right?
I do, and yeah. It used to be when I was younger. It was always what's his face? Oh, dude, what's his name? Knocked Up. Seth. Played Knocked Up.
I'm blanking on his name too.
Oh my gosh, what is his name?
It's not Seth Rogen, is it?
Seth Rogen, thank you. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I used to get Seth Rogen around because we have curly hair. Especially when he was in like when my hair was grown out. Funny story before we move on, but we were at this Brazilian steakhouse, Texas Day Brazil. Where they come and they cut the meat, it's nonstop, right?
I have no discipline in a restaurant like that.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. So we're there, and we're my wife and I, and then a couple of our friends. We're visiting and having dinner, and the waiter comes up to my friend's wife, and was like, "Is that Seth?" And she's like, "Hold up." She's like, "Don't make a big deal about it. He just wants to have dinner. If you're cool, we'll get you a picture after dinner."
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so the whole dinner, I'm like, why are these people looking at me? Like people were walking by and just like, I mean, we got great service, but yeah,
I bet
I'm
you
telling
did.
you, it's just like, geez. But yeah, so I went from him, and now I get Pratt a lot, but it's more so like the Parks and Rec Pratt, like we were kind of like,
Yeah.
Andy, and
Before he turned into
before he went to
a physical
Guardians, and so
specimen. Yeah.
yes. So we're getting back.
Well,
I'm coming back for him. So we're
you will.
getting the balance back.
And you're always going to be my Star Lord. Just so
Well,
you
I
know.
appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
All right.
But
So coming up, we have another amazing
right.
urban legend,
Mm-hmm.
and it is the one, the only Bloody Mary.
Okay, Tim. Truth or dare, bud?
I'm going to say dare.
I'm glad you did. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. And if you're listening to this, y'all can do this as well.
Please do it with me. I'm scared.
Yeah. I want you to go to the bathroom, shut the door, turn off the light, and then look into that deep, dark mirror.
Yes.
And say her name. Say it 3 times. Bloody Mary.
Don't do it.
Bloody Mary.
I'm covering my ears.
Bloody Mary.
Oh,
did you feel that? Did you feel the hairs on your arm rise?
I did.
Did you feel the scratches on the back of your neck? Are you bruising from your back? She just visited you. Did you see her in the mirror?
No.
No.
Is that the worst one? You don't see her?
I'm telling you. Okay, so Bloody Mary.
Actually, the way you did that was kind of like a sexy urban legend.
Like,
she scratches your neck. She kisses your ear.
That's right. Just a little nibble. Just a little nibble. Not too much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Okay, moving on. Bloody Mary. Okay. So can I just say this? I know you're a big bourbon guy.
I am.
My favorite drink in the world is a Bloody Mary. My grandpa loved them, and so that's kind of where I started drinking. I love some Bloody Mary. You get that really good Bloody Mary mix.
Yeah.
You put a little Worcestershire sauce in there.
Yeah.
Wash your sister sauce is what it's. Put a little bit of that. Put a little bit of lime juice.
Yeah.
I put a ton of Tabasco. Like I could drink a bottle of Tabasco sauce. It's like ridiculous. I mean, the sodium is just through the roof, but you got to have the Tabasco.
Let me ask you a question really quick.
Yeah.
Let me jump in. Are you one of those guys who like will go to the restaurant and get like the Bloody Mary with like chicken fingers hanging off?
Absolutely.
Of it, steak and all this stuff?
Absolutely. If they have a special Bloody Mary, your boy's getting it. Okay. Like
some of those things are crazy though.
At Universal, there's Cowfish. It's a sushi burger restaurant. They make sushi out of burgers, and they make burgers out of sushi. So you get all the things, but they have a Bloody Mary there that comes with a mini slider, a pickle, and then the straw is a hollowed out Slim Jim. I kid you not.
A hollowed out
Slim Jim. That is the straw.
That is crazy.
It is delicious. It is like a meal in itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have your little hamburger slider right there on the top. You got your okra, you got your pickles, you got your olives, which I don't like olives. Like the olive theory, you know, they always say if you marry somebody who loves olives, you usually don't like them. And it works out perfectly for us because Michelle absolutely loves olives, so she gets mine. So I never say no olives; I say extra olives. Because
heck yeah, I love.
Olives. I try to treat my lady well. You know what I mean? But Bloody Mary is my favorite drink, and it's rooted.
No, wait. I have one more question. Though.
Okay, come on.
Here's my mental image: is some poor sap in the back hollowing out Slim Jims all day long.
Right? Who does that? Like, how do you do? I mean, it's
you
a
were
big
at the bottom
Slim
of the barrel.
Yeah, if you're the Slim Jim hollower outer. So
All right, we've been completely off track here with
yeah,
Slim
but
Jim straws, but yeah.
my favorite drink of all time. And so it is rooted, because it is based off of tomatoes, which is what looks like blood. So appetizing, right? But Bloody Mary, we don't know really who is Bloody Mary. I mean, there's a couple of really good potential candidates. The most notorious would be Queen Mary the First. And she gets that nickname. She lived a very, very hard life for a princess / queen. Like, her father started the Church of England because the Catholic Church didn't believe in divorce, and he got tired of Mary's mother and wanted to divorce her. And so he started the Church of England. Now, Mary was a devout Catholic, loved it. And so, over the years, she had new stepmoms and stepsisters and different children, but never like a true heir. Her father didn't want her to become queen. So they downgraded her to lady, and then he died. Then she had such a following with the people because they thought she was the true heir. The queen that they put in place after the king died only lasted 7 days. There was like a revolt.
Yeah.
They revolted, and she became queen. She got her time in the sun. But here's the thing. She hated the church and Protestants, and so what she did, she killed over 280 Protestants, burnt them at the stake, thus becoming known as Bloody Mary. That's her nickname. So a lot of folklore and legend comes from she sees you in the mirror when she appears. And, if you're doing the truth or dare, and if you see her in the mirror, she's going to show you either your future spouse or a skeleton. And if a skeleton appears, that means you're going to die before you get married. True story.
Oh, okay.
There's some other stories that she appears holding a baby.
Or
looking for her baby.
What's the significance about holding a baby?
Okay, so she wanted a child.
Okay.
She wanted a child and an heir so bad. So much so, she suffered from medical problems. I think she had endometriosis. So it was really hard for her. She couldn't get pregnant. But there's this rare thing that ladies who really do want to get pregnant can manifest manifest like becoming pregnant, like with the weight gain and different things like that. And so she said after 2 months after being married that she was pregnant, but then the baby never came. She ended up dying 5 years into her reign from what they believe was ovarian cancer, untreated. Because obviously, that's back in the day.
Right.
I mean, what do you do? But yeah, so she had a hard, rough life, just the way she felt, and just the murders, and the killing.
That will weigh on you.
Yeah, that'll weigh on you, and it'll affect your appearance. And they say she wasn't a very attractive person later in life, and I mean, that could just be because of her soul. You know what I mean?
I think so. I mean, you kill 1 to 10 people, you're probably okay. Maybe 10 to 20, you're crossing a couple lines, but I think it was the 280.
The 280 plus, Protestants that
that's
died.
excessive, right?
Yeah. But another top contender is Mary Wright. Now, Mary Wright is said, there's not a whole lot of information and there's different stories, but one of the main ones is that she lived in New England in the 17th century, which is the 1600s. And she lived in the woods alone.
Okay.
She did a lot of herbal medicines. And so some people would come to her, to get different herbal things that they need. Well, one day, she was the weird lady in the woods. And if you know anything about that time period, they didn't like witches.
No.
And so one day, 3 sisters went missing. And the parents were looking everywhere for them. And so they went out to Mary's house. And when she opened the door, she looked a lot more youthful than she had previously, which meant that she stole the souls of the 3 girls and took their youth, thus making her a witch.
Oh, is this kind of like Agatha Harkness? She steals all their powers?
A little bit, yes. There's, like I said, there's always a foundation.
Yeah. I like that.
And so, or same thing with the Sanderson sisters. Same thing with Hocus Pocus. Mr. What is this? Timothy Binks, or
yes,
is it? Yes, and his sister.
Yeah,
they suck out the soul and get the youth. There's a foundation. So that's Mary Wright. Well, come to find out, they did find the bodies in the backyard,
okay.
and so they burned her at the stake. And as they were burning her, she put a curse on them. If you say my name, I will appear and haunt you. So, Bloody Mary. I don't know. Which one is it? I don't know. It could be somebody totally different. But there you go. Bloody Mary.
Oh, nice job on that one. I think you got to be a little terrified. You don't know who it's going to be. Or if any of those people, it could just be some sick, twisted ghost, right?
But this is what I want y'all to do, okay? I want y'all to go and film yourself saying Bloody Mary and send that to us. We'd love to see it. Tag us on social media at all our stuff. I would love to see y'all, just call out Mary. And some people said that they saw her and they would taunt her for not having a baby, or be like, I took your baby. If I see a lady in the mirror,
what the hell?
I am not going to taunt her. Be like, I stole your baby. Heck to the nah.
No way.
If who does that? Oh my gosh. I got Candyman on this side. I got Mary on this side. I'm just screwed. Jeez.
Yeah, you are. What if you combine Candyman with Bloody Mary if you say them together? Bloody Candyman Mary. New urban legend.
New
copyright right now.
Jeez.
And we will at the end of the show be putting up our socials and everything for you guys to follow
absolutely
along. So if we ask you to tag us, drop a message, anything,
follow us, leave a review, give us some love.
We need really the love.
We want this to take off. So come on.
We want to do it for you guys. Like I love these kind of podcasts where it's just on different topics. So we hope we're bringing some fun with you in our first episode on Halloween. So coming up next, Billy, I think you got a phone call. You want to take your phone?
Oh, okay. Hello.
Have you checked on the children?
They're upstairs sleeping. No, they're good.
Have you checked on the children?
No, they're in bed. They're upstairs.
You might want to go
click
because we're talking about the babysitter and the man upstairs.
Sorry,
that was pretty good. It kind of out talking about it.
I'm glad. That was what I was going for. It is Halloween after all.
It is. We're all entitled to one good scare, as they say in the original Halloween. So the babysitter and the man upstairs. This is a classic urban legend. Like, especially I would say for teenagers, teenage girls, especially who do babysitting. So this it originated in the 1960s. It's a story of a terrifying phone call to a girl, and she answers. Sometimes it's a hang up, sometimes it's heavy breathing, sometimes it's have you checked the children, only to find out as she's working through this whole thing that she calls the police, and the police tell her, hey, the phone call's coming from inside the house.
Oh my gosh.
Get the kids, go. So that's where that starts. But it's sadly, like always, these things are based on a true story. The true story started in the 1950s. It was a 13-year-old girl named Janet Chrisman in Columbia, Missouri. Sadly enough, she was brutally killed, assaulted while babysitting. Her death still remains unsolved today, which is crazy for something that happened back in the 50s. So it adds like another like haunting layer to the myth of it all, right? This person was never caught. So there you go. That person's still out there, right? And there's a couple different versions of how it turns out. The most common one, as I said at the beginning, the babysitter always survives after being warned by the police. There's been different movies being done about this. The most common one was When a Stranger Calls in 2006.
Yeah.
Only movie that's scary that I can get my wife to watch, or the original Scream. During Halloween
original season, Scream, yep.
During Halloween season, it is like slim pickings around here for movies that I can get her to watch with me.
I couldn't even get Michelle to do that. No, no.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that's crazy is, a side tangent about my wife, is that she loves true crime. She can watch real shows about people being slaughtered and dead,
but not fake ones.
But a fake movie about people being killed, how dare we go there? Anyhow.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but the different versions of this, there's not like a huge meat to the story, but I'm going to give you the different versions of things that maybe you've heard about it. So the typical one is the babysitter survives. She's warned by the police to get the children and get out of the house. Now, there are versions that she goes upstairs and the kids are completely dead. They're out. They're killed already.
No.
Yes. There are versions that she goes upstairs. The kids are killed. She gets killed. Nobody makes it out.
No.
There are versions that she goes upstairs. She can't find the children.
No.
There's a man hiding behind a curtain or in the closet that jumps out and kills her, right? So
what happened to the kids?
I don't. That's the whole thing in this version. We don't like. Did the kids disappear? Did they go hide? What's going on? And I think the version people like the most is that there's a little bit of killing going on. Maybe a friend or someone stops by, like in the last version of the movie.
Maybe the boyfriend. Let's just get rid of him.
Oh yeah, the boyfriend's always the person, because the boyfriend's also calling on and off, and she's like, "Hey, I'm getting these creepy calls. Have you been calling, trying to trick me?" All those things like that. All the things that boyfriends do. We're kind of stupid, especially when we're teenagers. That's and when you're 40 plus years old also. But I think the one that people like the most is, there's the tension that builds up, phone calls back and forth, only to find out there was someone in the house, and she's still able to rescue the kids, save herself, and get out of the house.
Save everybody.
Save the cheerleader, save the world. Another one, there's a throwback to Heroes. This one is one I had heard before. I'm going to read it so you guys understand what I'm saying. Okay. It's also called the clown statue. Have you heard this version of it, Billy?
I have not.
It's where the babysitter is creeped out by what she assumes is a creepy clown statue in the children's room, and calling the parents to say, "The kids cannot sleep. They're terrified of that clown statue. Can we please get rid of it?" And the parents say, "There is no clown statue.
We don't have a clown." Oh my gosh.
Only to find out that it was an intruder hiding in this creepy clown thing up against the wall with like a sheet over him or something like that. And that's another version of the story where it's a creepy person hiding under a blanket. I think there's one more twist to the story where before she talks to the parents, she takes a blanket and throws it over top of the clown. Like, children, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're going to cover it up. You can get back to sleep. No problem. And only to find out from the parents later on that there was no clown statue.
Then I'd be like, we don't have a clown statue.
I know. Could you imagine getting that call, though? In any of these scenarios, like there's a creepy clown upstairs. Can we cover it up? And they're like, there is no creepy clown upstairs. The call's coming from inside the house. Always.
There's always this daydream, like if somebody broke into my house, right?
Okay.
Like this is a nerdy. This is just kind of off topic, but I wanted to share. If somebody broke into my house,
and
I had like a smart house, like Alexa, and so I just picture they're in the dark and I'm standing there in the dark, and all of a sudden I have my lightsaber and I turn it on, and it goes red, right? And then Alexa just all of a sudden just starts through the house playing murder. I'll climb aboard the murder train. It's from How I Met Your Mother. It's just freak out. I don't know. Yeah. So the clowns, you better watch out, man.
Well,
Vader's
let's
gonna
go back
get
to
you.
your daydream a bit there. I've actually seen the videos like on TikTok and YouTube where people are like, Alexa, intruder mode.
Yes, exactly. But like
And those like
you
red
combine
lights
that.
come on.
Yeah, you combine that with like Vader in Rogue One, where he just goes to the hall, goes ham on all the people. Like that's my vision. Sorry, that was a little nerdy. I'm a nerd. We good.
Yeah, we're both nerds, and that's why we get along so well.
That's
but
right.
The reality is it would take a lot for you to fight this person off with our fake lightsabers. You'd have to beat him hard over the head.
Yeah, the hilt is pretty heavy and sturdy, so it'd be like a hammer almost. But
the reverse lightsaber and just hold
the LED light, LED blade part's not going to do much.
What do you mean LED blade? They're not real?
What? Not yet.
These are not the lightsabers you're looking for?
No, not yet.
No,
but
not
one
yet.
day.
Okay. Did you ever do any babysitting ever? Were you ever
I've never babysat. Now I help raise both my girls, but that's not babysitting.
That's being a killer stay-at-home dad. I've been there. That will be a podcast one day.
That will be a podcast.
Trust to believe.
No, I've never babysat. Well, I'll take that back. I mean, like cousins have come and stayed with us and stuff like that, but I don't really consider that like
you weren't hired to go to a house.
I'm not getting paid to do it. They're hanging out with my daughters, kind of things like that. But no, I'm never like growing up babysat. Have you?
I have a family of 7 children, so
that's true.
Slave labor babysitting of other kids,
right?
And then randomly helping people out. But Leslie, my wife, she used to babysit like all the time. Like she was on everybody's list every single year for like New Year's Eve. She was booked like a year out because she did such a good job. But when we were dating, before we were engaged, and she was helping do dog sitting, so she would go stay at people's homes like people do. And she was there, and this is before cell phones, right? All you had was the phone line to the house. Well, it had come off. Well, we didn't know. We come to find out it had come off the hook. And so I was trying to call her. She was alone at this house. I forget where it was. And nobody can get a hold of her. So I'm talking to her parents. Everybody's freaked out because I think she was in an area where there were just some, I don't want to
things go down. Things went down.
Yeah, some crazy stuff was happening in that space there. And we're like, oh my God, where is she? So back in the day, what you could do was you could call the phone line, and what they could do is break in on the line, and they could play this blasting sound through the phone line. And you had to pay like a $50 to $100 fee.
Snap!
They don't just do it if you called. And so they did do it, and she ended up hearing it because the dogs went crazy, or she heard the noise and she called, and she wasn't murdered. So that's
good. Well, that worked out.
Yeah, but that's crazy. I mean, like I said, we're going back to the year 1997 before, there were cell phones, but not like common.
Right. It's the ones you had to, if you wanted to text, you had to go through all the numbers. Like you had to press 2 to like.
No, we didn't even have those yet.
Oh, no text messages. Yeah.
This is prior to that. Yeah. So scary moment of babysitting dogs to find out. Have you checked the dogs?
Have you checked? Oh my goodness.
Anyhow, so that is the babysitter and the man upstairs.
All right.
Coming up next, Billy. This was a common one that originated in the 90s.
That's right.
It was pretty classic, and it is...
Do not flash your headlights. Don't do it.
Now, if you're dirty-minded and you're in the gutter, we're not talking about flashing those headlights, all right?
Oh.
We're talking about car headlights.
That's right.
All right.
And so, I want to tell you a story, Tim. All right.
Please do.
This, back in 1995, the LA Police Department released the following statement. Please stay alert for any vehicles operating without headlights at night. If you spot a vehicle without lights, do not attempt to signal them by flashing your own headlights, as the occupants may be armed and dangerous. Instead, report the vehicle immediately by calling 911. Your safety is our top priority. And there was a couple months span where some killings occurred. And so this is where this stems from. And here is the story. Rudy Flores was a junior gang member he was trying to become an official gang member for the LA gang Los Perros Locos. And so, he was trying to be initiated to become a full-fledged gang member. Luis Martinez was the leader of the gang.
Okay.
And gave him his orders. He wanted him to turn off his headlights at night while driving. And the first person that flashed their headlights at him, he wanted them to go flash and bash. He wanted to shoot, he had to have that first kill in order to be initiated to become part of the gang.
Okay.
That was part of the rites. And so he was given his orders. And then that night at 10 p.m., he turned the headlights off and started driving down the road. Now, Luis didn't think he would go through with it, and he wanted to test him. And so what did he do? He made sure he was the car that flashed him. And all of a sudden, Rudy turns the car around real quickly and starts chasing him. And because of the lights, all he could see were silhouettes. And so he unloaded. He did what he was supposed to do. He became an official gang member. He got his first kill. Now, the crazy thing is, there was 2 people in that car.
Yeah.
One was another gang member. He was injured pretty badly. But Luis did not make it. His gamble did not pay off, and he was the one that died. And so these type killings stopped pretty much as soon as they started.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, when you have an internal event like that, they don't continue. There's not a lot of brain cells with that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you.
But, yeah, I mean, I remember that happening during the late 90s. And then even people talking about here in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I'm from, about don't flash the headlights because it could be somebody in a gang trying to get you to flash headlights so they can kill you.
See, I'm glad you said that, because here's the deal. That's a made-up story.
Wait a minute.
The Los Perros Locos means the crazy dog.
Oh. You've already lost all the trust of our listeners, really.
I put in the details. I made up the names. If you have those names, I apologize. You are not a gang member. This no way ever happened in the 1990s. The LA Police Department never released that statement. This has been proven to be false by these. I guess there's national gang headquarter folks that they said, okay, this has never been a gang initiation. It's just became an urban legend. But everybody has heard this story or stories similar that when you flash your headlights at a car that doesn't have them on, they're going to come and kill you. And what makes it so dangerous is the fact that somebody might not have their headlights on and you need to tell them, but you don't because of this urban legend. Well, they try to get, there's been many studies and many researchers and different affiliations that said, hey, this isn't true. But there is an underlining, statement there somewhere. I don't know if it ever happened or something similar happened or there's a foundation there. They based the late 90s movie Urban Legends kind of off of this premise. See, what happened was, this movie, which
it's a great
I
movie,
love.
by the way.
I watched it the other day and researched for this show. And spoiler alerts, but this is a 30-year-old movie. So, if you haven't seen it already, it's on you.
3 years. I mean, my 1 year spoiler alert rules go out the window.
Yes, that's right.
30 years.
So, this movie stars the never aging Jared Leto, who looks exactly the same today as he did back then. Yeah. It also stars a fellow podcaster, Michael Rosenbaum, actor from my favorite show of all time, Smallville. He played Lex Luthor, and was also in some of the Guardians movies. He's big friends with James Gunn. And then, he has a couple of really awesome podcasts. You should go check those out. Talkville is one of them, where they break down, him and Tom Welling break down a different episode of Smallville every week, which is really awesome. And then he has a couple other shows out there.
Okay.
But yeah, Rosenbaum. I think Felicity is in that movie. She had a show. I don't know what her what is her real name? I don't remember her real name, but she had a show, I think, called Felicity. Really pretty curly hair, I think she was like an Aquafina, not Aquafina, that's water, like the face wash. She was a face wash model as well in the 90s. She ends up being the killer, spoiler alert. But what happened was, in this movie, the main girl is in a car with this other girl, and they decide to turn off their headlights, and a car flashes them, and they chase the car. That car gets in a wreck, and basically the killer's boyfriend dies. And so she starts killing folks at the college based on urban legends. And so that's the whole premise. It's a 90s horror film, just like I Know What You Did Last Summer, just like Scream. It's one of those classic, not the greatest acting, just the killer with a knife, Come on. I mean, it had, what's his face from Dawson's Creek in it? Joshua Jackson. I think he's got a new show about a cruise ship now.
There were a couple people who were from I Know What You Did Last Summer in that movie.
Yes. And there was a couple of like really funny like plays, like play-ons of things that they did. Like they get in the car, Joshua gets in the car with another girl, and when he starts the car up, the radio comes on, and it's the theme song to Dawson's Creek. I was like, that's pretty funny. And then they make a joke saying, oh, the killer was a face wash model, kind of like things like that. Just different funny things.
You can't beat like 90s scary movies.
I'm all about all things 90s, since that's the era. That's my era that I that I became who I am. So but yeah, that's driving. Do not flash your headlights. That's that.
Well, so we want you guys to, you know what? We're going to put a poll on our Facebook group. We're going to give the links I said at the end. And we're going to ask you if you've done any of these urban legends, or have you done flash to the headlights, or specifically we'll ask, kind of get a poll of who did what. And so we can kind of we'll talk about that on a later podcast. But I want to know, because here he was telling me this crazy story about this gang guy, and I believed him. But the truth is,
I put the details in it, man. It's all about the details, bro.
If I would have run your story through ChatGPT checker, it would be all AI.
I did go say, give me some gang names from the 90s in LA. Just give you a list of them. So that's where the Crazy Dog gang come from. So if that's a real gang, y'all didn't do anything. Don't come at me, bro.
No. Listen, we don't support gangs, but we're not here to get in a fight with gangs either.
Exactly. That is not what I'm looking for.
We're looking to just have some fun and not be killed by any of these urban legends.
That's right. I don't want to create my own little movie here.
Yeah. So the next one that I have, I love this story, and I want you to picture this. Okay. So it's you and your girlfriend. It's 1966. You're in West Virginia.
Yep.
You're driving down a dark road at night.
Mm-hmm.
You look up, and this is what you see. You see a large black creature, glowing red eyes, standing nearly 7 feet tall, white wings, and this thing will fly and chase your vehicle. This happened to a couple. True story, as they say. Back in 1966, it's a couple driving around. Mm-hmm. They go past a well-known old munitions plant, like a TNT plant.
Right.
And they look over, and they see this 7-foot-tall black creature, red glowing eyes. And not only did they see it and were terrified, but as they took off down the road, it chased it. And then it was on the roof, scraping on the roof, trying to crawl back to the top of the roof, right?
Yeah.
And so in that area, in that town, it freaked people out so much. And once that story got out, that there's this big winged creature, glowing red eyes, then people started seeing it everywhere, right?
Right.
Now, there are theories that pop up being kind of supernatural, some kind of scary ghost type thing, some kind of cryptid, if you're familiar with cryptids and things like that. And we'll talk about that later on. But they started seeing this everywhere, and they would associate anytime there was a sighting of the Mothman, is who we're talking about today.
That's right.
Anytime they saw the sighting of the Mothman, it was alleged to be right before a huge natural disaster or something bad happened.
Oh.
Some people, just so you know, had theories of this only just being a giant bird for that area, which we'll talk about.
7 foot tall bird.
Anybody who does know me knows I hate birds. I can't stand
You
them.
do hate birds, like a lot.
I am terrified of birds.
It's ridiculously funny how scared of birds you are.
I think they're evil. Like, hear me out.
He's not just making that up just for a joke. He is legitimately terrified of birds.
Yeah. Okay. So hear me out. Hear me out when I say this. Why do they call a group of crows a murder? Right. That tells you everything you need to know right there. If you had to call a group of birds a murder, you know they're out to kill you. In other theories that birds aren't even real, they're what, Billy?
They're animatronics, right? Or robots?
Yeah, animatronics. They're robots from the government, so birds aren't even real.
They're spying on you.
A whole other urban legend that we could go into. But anyhow, so you picture this 7 foot tall, glowing eye bird creature thing.
Yep.
But like I said, right now, people start to see it more often in that area. In West Virginia. And what starts to happen, like now they're seeing it everywhere. Something really freaky that happened in 1967 in West Virginia, there's a tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge. And when that bridge collapsed, all these cars were plunged into the river. I think it totaled anywhere from about 45 to 50 people's deaths, right?
Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh yeah, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. I used to be so terrified also of bridges. I think this could be like a therapy session of everything I'm scared of. I used to freak me. I mean, I'm talking about like last year. Like if it was like this massive bridge, I'd always like panic attacks set in.
Yeah, don't go over Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans.
Oh man, I was in Pittsburgh, which is like known for its bridges, and I had to drive and I'm doing it, and I'm hating it, and my son's with me going, bridge in my ear. I'm like, I'm going to kill you, Luke. I'm going to die on this bridge. Anyhow, I've since tried to get over that. Anyhow, but so I always figured I've noticed this thing: bridges collapse, cars go in, everybody dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the theory is that anytime anything bad happened, the Mothman has been spotted. There was a sighting in Moscow in 1999 before a series of deadly bombings. And so the sightings not really in West Virginia, they're around the country, they're around the world. So there's a sighting of the Mothman, big black creature, creepy as anything.
Right.
And it's chasing you down, trying to kill you. This is similar, if you guys have heard the urban legend in the movie Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers, yes, another 90s flick. Great movie where the guy can fly and chase the people in the car. Yes.
So post Mothman, 90s, people kind of get an idea of what that would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the supernatural version of the movie with Richard Gere. And I think that happened in 2002 was a movie. It was called The Mothman Prophecies. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
And so that one's really creepy because it's like this person on the phone could read what was happening in the room with Richard Gere at the time, which is super creepy.
Right.
And so people have that version of Mothman too from the movies, the scary stuff. But there's been various explanations of what the Mothman can be. So people had done some research that track migrations of birds through that area in West Virginia during that time frame. Something I would never want to do in my life, studying migrations of birds. Maybe if I did that, I could avoid birds, but I'm not going to waste my time on birds. But they said that Mothman was actually misidentified as a sandhill crane.
That is
barred owl.
Okay, sandhill cranes. That's from my neck of the woods. I grew up in Goshen, Mississippi. We have the premier sandhill crane refuge that is right there, Goshen, Mississippi. That's
now.
right. Born and
So would
raised.
you? Are these things that massive?
They are not 7 feet tall, but they are. They're like they're a crane, and so they're longer, but not. I wouldn't, a shack-sized bird. They are not.
I pictured Shaq flying and chasing people's cars, doing like the Shazam movie.
Kazam.
Yeah. Oh, Kazam. Sorry, not Shazam. That's a whole other movie.
Get your Shaq facts right.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Shaq. Anyhow, going back to this, the reason why they said sandhill crane because they're really big, tall birds.
That's right.
Maybe not 7 feet tall. The reason they talk about the barred owls is because they're known to look like they have red glowing eyes.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot of owls that have the glowing eyes, but this one particular is in that area. And so that's also been the thing about, okay, it could have been this big bird. It could have been, you're seeing these glowing eyes from an owl.
Right.
People who believe Mothman is real and is a supernatural creature, a cryptid creature to be had that haunts not only West Virginia and around the world, but recently there have been more sightings in Chicago. Just as of like in recent years, the whole sightings have come back about Mothman.
So you've got the Candyman and the Mothman.
Yeah.
In Chicago. Oh snap!
In Chicago. Yeah, exactly.
The Windy City.
The really windy city. It's because of the bird man flying in
and the bees.
Yeah, but Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where the bridge collapse happened when they had the original sighting of Mothman. They've kind of played into it. They host an annual Mothman festival every year that started in 2002. They actually have a 12-foot tall statue of this cryptid that you can come take pictures with, which is really creepy. But if you like anything like cryptid, UFOs, Men in Black sightings, all kinds of any kind of crazy thing like that, I would suggest a really cool podcast called Monsters Among Us. 2 episodes a week. I got hooked on that a couple of years ago. It's absolutely fantastic. The host is amazing. The stories are, it's not him reading stories. He actually has people call in and give their real life experiences.
Oh, snap.
So you get the fear of them calling in, hearing their voice.
For real.
Through it.
It's a firsthand experience.
Yeah, and they talk about Mothman on there multiple times, different Mothman sightings and things like that. So check out Monsters Among Us.
Yeah.
Another amazing podcast about cryptids and that kind of thing.
Oh, hey, you know who else? You know what else comes from West Virginia?
My mom.
Your mom? And also...
I was born in West Virginia. Beckley.
Were you really? You know who else was born in West Virginia? The birthday boy, Coach Nick Saban.
Oh, my God.
Happy birthday, Coach.
Oh,
sorry.
Man.
Roll Tide. Sorry.
Yeah. We're going to have to... Belly, we can't talk about this Roll Tide nonsense. Nobody wants to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
You'll grow to love me.
Yes, you will. Like I have. But yeah, so yeah, West Virginia. I was born in Beckley. I lived there till I was 2, and then we moved to Cincinnati.
I've never been to West Virginia.
Very short story.
That's a state I have not been to, but I shall.
At
some point. I mean, I got to go. I want to hit all 50 in Puerto Rico. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. So that is the story of the Mothman, the legend.
The Mothman. I think we have another. I think we have another man to talk about too, don't we?
We do have another man.
There's one more. Yeah.
But I'm gonna ask you a question though.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Do you believe in the Mothman? What do you think?
It's possible. It's probable.
It's probable.
But it's if I saw something with glowing red eyes that was 7 feet tall.
I would run. Yeah. And I would tell everybody not to go back. As a matter of fact, there's one more little story I left out. In 1962, like this came out, 1972. The story about the bridge crashing and the deaths was 1967. The Batman comics in 1972 released a new one with a new villain. It was called the Mothman.
A Mothman, yeah.
Yeah. And so he had the big wings and he had the red glowing eyes. So they think that a little bit of the comics and pop culture also melded into this thing that made Mothman what it is today,
What it is, yeah.
It's like 7 degrees of Batman. You can always tell yourself or some way back to Batman, I think, and Robin back in the
I'm
comics.
Batman. I'm Batman.
So that is Mothman.
Mothman.
But not to be outdone.
Let's bring it
to
that classic urban legend. The one, the only Hookman. Let's do it.
And it's unrelated to Saul Hook, my name. So
that's right.
But we have the Hookman.
Hookman.
We've done Candyman. We've done Bloody Mary. We did Mothman.
This is a classic.
Let's talk about the Hook.
Classic. The Hook, man, and Lover's Lane. It's a big part of the story. So in the late 19th, Have I
been to Lover's Lane? Was there a Lover's Lane like where you grew up at? Or was it anywhere you went? It was Lover's Lane, Billy.
That's right. That's how I roll. But see, I went to a small, Christian college, so you had to go drive out a little bit to,
Gotcha.
You couldn't do that on campus.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Right. The Hookman. So in the late 1950s, this couple goes out for a nice romantic stroll, a little drive through the woods. See, the guy has a plan. He's going to take her to that Lover's Lane where they're all alone.
All that
spend
magic.
some alone time. Now, the problem is they didn't tell their parents where they were going, obviously.
Right.
And they kind of lied about who they were going with, obviously. So they go out to the woods and they're there. And I don't know what's going down, but they're there. You could just use your imagination. But all of a sudden...
Give me a second on that. Let me just...
I would picture it. All right.
Okay, go.
That's a little... You went a little long. You
get a cigarette real quick and smoke it as I'm thinking
Yes. So, get to a point, the dude's got to pee. And so he's like, hey, I got to pee. And she's like, don't leave me alone in this car. He's like, nobody's out here, And so he leaves her in the car to go pee. She turns the radio on, and there's a special broadcast. News come over the radio.
No.
There is a citywide emergency. They have set a curfew in the city that they're close by because a notorious serial killer who has a hook for a hand. I don't know why they wouldn't take that off of him, but he had escaped. He escaped from the local mental hospital.
Yeah.
Still had the hook on his hand. He killed one orderly and injured two and escaped. And so he is out and about, and the cops are looking for him. They have a citywide curfew. It's in the late 50s. She's alone in the car in the woods. All of a sudden, she hears a bang on the ceiling of the roof of the car. She hears some scratching. Freaks her out, obviously.
Yeah.
And then she hears another one. What in the heck is going on? Where is her boyfriend at?
Yeah.
Well, what's the thing to do? There's a serial killer with a hook that's loose.
You just heard
in
about
her area. Why don't I get out of the car and investigate this strange sound? That's what she does. And all of a sudden, above the car, she sees her boyfriend dead, hanging from the tree above the car. Obviously, she's a little disturbed, freaked out. She gets in the car. She takes off, and she goes directly to the police department, which was a smart move, the first one of this story. Well, the cops finally get her to calm down. She gets to tell them what happened. And so they want to go take a look at the car. And when they go out there, what do they find on the handle of the driver's side door? But a bloody hook. He almost got her. But she drove off and it ripped off his arm again. Why couldn't they take off the hook? Why? Okay, if you're in a mental institution, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that hook off.
If you have a serial killer who's deranged, there's a lot of holes to the story of this guy, how he was taken care of.
Absolutely.
Why he was left with a hook on his hand.
But that is the story of the Hook Man, and a lot of it drives. The foundation, like I said over and over again. There's a foundation. There was a set of couples that were murdered or injured that happened from the local lovers lane.
Yeah.
And then the serial killer also killed a married couple, and I think he killed 5 total folks. So it's like it's actually called the Texarkana Moonlight Murder. Yeah. Thank you. Moonlight Murders from the 40s.
Yeah, and
that's a real story that really happened.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of where he didn't have a hook, but that's where the foundation, I think, comes from. This story. So I think people put it out there. The cops put it out there because they didn't want to see any rear ends out in the dark in the car. To keep people from finding out that good makeout place.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where these stories came from, because if you think you're going to die, which some people and a lot of people probably still would go for it to have a little alone time. Hey, it's worth the risk. Yeah. Right.
The cops are saying, listen, we don't want to see any more butts in the window.
That's right.
Enough of the butts.
Enough of the butts.
About
this is
coming to kill people.
This is the 40s and 50s, 40s and 50s. So no more butts.
Yeah, when you were telling the story, I was thinking like, kids now, you couldn't get away with not telling your parents where you are. We're tracking you.
Oh, tracking, and if you turn off that tracker,
and you're a dead man.
Mm-hmm.
Or a dead woman, or you might die from the Hook Man, or the Candy Man, or Bloody Mary, or just by your dad. So,
that's right.
Yeah, I think about, so I was born. I'll give you my age. I was born in 1975, so I grew up through the 80s and the 90s. And I think about things that I did back in the 80s and 90s as a teenager. Sure. I'm thinking, there's no way in heck I could get away with those things today.
Oh no. I was born in 83. So, I was a teenager in the 90s. And so I asked for a pager when they were popular for my birthday. That was the worst birthday present that I ever got, because it gave a way for my mom to get in track of me and tell me to come home when, places, it was terrible. And so that accidentally, quote unquote, for those that are just listening, finger quotes, accidentally was left on the bumper of the car one day and accidentally got ran over. Oh, dang. No, we don't need to renew it with a new beeper. Terrible.
And those beepers, they were expensive back in the day.
They were, but golly.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not, I thought I was cool, but nope. But then cell phones shortly came after, like on a wide range. So
the real urban legend is that you were cool, because we all know that didn't really happen for you.
Oh, my lime green Yankees jersey and camo blue pants with my Limp Bizkit hat on the backwards, with my goatee and sideburns.
Oh yeah. Oh, I used to have sideburns like here.
Oh, I had the best, because I could grow facial hair in high school. So
you were that guy.
I was that guy.
Oh, okay.
I had some nice sideburns. I had a goatee,
That tells you everything you guys need to know.
There you go. The 90s.
That Billy looked like a pervert when he was growing up.
Yeah.
He doesn't deny it. So we thought would be fun to wrap up the podcast today is to give you, from each of our perspective, a local urban legend where we grew up at. And so I'm going to start off with mine, where I grew up. So I lived growing up about 30 minutes north of Cincinnati, west of Cincinnati. I don't know exactly. 30 minutes of Cincinnati, somewhere in there. And in our local area, it was about 15 minutes from where I lived. There was something that everybody talked about all through high school, growing up, and it was called Munchkinville, right? Just like you heard it, Munchkinville, Shrinky Dink, right? And the story behind it, I'm going to read a couple things off this article here. But the story behind it was this little town, You could drive through. All the houses were real small. It was always real dark, and it was supposed to be inhabited by old carnies, midget carnies who used to be in a carnival. They didn't want to be in that life anymore, so they came to this small area outside of Cincinnati, and they started their own community, right? So it wasn't like these people wanted to live in peace. They were kind of angry munchkins. God, this sounds really bad, but they were angry munchkins, right? So the story was, if you drove through, I can't even take myself seriously. Angry munchkins. All right, let me get past that. All right. And if you drove past that time at night, they would come out throwing rocks at your car, screaming at you, yelling at you, scaring the life out of you, right? So that was the story. And so you'd always go, late at night, group full of teens in the car, friends, girlfriends, all that thing. And you drive through there really slow. And it was always pitch black through there. And the crazy thing, even though you knew where it was, it's like the next time you went, you got lost. Like you couldn't find it again. And it was like, where is Munchkinville? Like we know it's here. It's very haunting. People are going to come out and scare us. And so you'd go drive through there all the time. It'd be dark at night, and you'd sit there with your lights off. Even though it was on a road, you shouldn't turn your lights off on a road, but it's a pretty isolated road. There wasn't a lot of traffic going on back there. And you would kind of just listen quietly for stuff to happen. And so the real story of it, it was actually called the Handlebar Ranch. It was started by a wife and a husband. And they started it to have, and they built these small little houses to be fun because there used to be like camping area there. There used to be grilling area, places for picnics, things like that. But in the early years, what happened was, I'm going to get their names correct here. It was in 1940. It was Percy and his wife, Anna. What they built it for was back then to rent bicycles out. And they would you could rent a bike for 25 cents a day. People could come and go. They could have picnics there and things like that. Well, as this thing turned, and the real story was there wasn't actually anybody who was really that small, except for the wife was 5'3", husband was 5'9", right? So she's kind of small. And they would say they look up on this hill, and where the balcony was of one of the houses, when people would be driving through there, because they would come ringing their bell all days of night. So of course, the people got mad all the time, and they would yell at people driving by, like, get away from here. This is private property. Don't stop, and they'd throw things down at the cars to keep them moving. But they said like that perspective, sometimes when you see something far away, it looks really small. That's where they think they got the idea of munchkins living there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And so since that time, Handlebar Ranch, he ended up passing away in 1990. His daughter took it on. And she did it for a long time too, yelling at people, just playing into the whole
the legend, thing.
And but unfortunately, at this time, there's a local garbage place here called Rumpke, and they end up buying that property years ago and tearing everything down.
Oh no!
So the theory in the urban legend gets even darker now. It's like it disappeared. Like, where did the legend go? Did they tear their houses down? Did they set up somewhere else, like hidden in the woods? I'll give you a story because there was a follow-up to Munchkinville. So right up the road, again, this is a back road, really dark, big, huge house up through a winding gravel driveway. And it was lined by old classic cars that were like defunct, like they're old, just laying there, rusted. And it wrapped the whole sidewalk or the whole driveway coming down to the road. And so they would say, this is the witch's house. Right? This is the witch's house. You don't want to get caught by the witch. And it was always like, who would be brave enough to get out of their car, walk all the way up, and like ring the doorbell? Well, luckily enough, I was stupid enough, and I had my two best friends who were just as dumb as me, and we had our girlfriends, and we said, we're going to go to the witch's house. So we drove by Munchkinville, did our normal honking, yelling, whatever. And we drove up the street, and it was like this tiny little, like it was almost meant for people to park. It was like a little gravel parking area. So we got out of the car, we start walking down the street, and cars are going by us, and we're doing stupid stuff, acting like we're statues, freezing on the side of the road, just dumb things you would do. And they say goodbye. When we get to the driveway, and we start to slowly walk up the driveway, and then the girls are screaming, we're freaked out, so we stop, and we're just kind of laughing like, oh my god, we can see a light on in the house. At that time, this is not an urban thing. A car came up in front of us, pulled up and like went sideways on the road to block the road behind us, and a truck pulled up behind us, did the same thing, blocked us in. The guy in the car jumps out with a shotgun and 2 big Dobermans on either hand, asking, like, "What are you guys doing here? This is private property. You can't be here. You guys need to get out of here now." And we're apologizing. We're so sorry. And the girls are crying. Everybody's freaking out. And they're like, "If you ever come back here again, we'll shoot you." And blah, 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 blah. We sprinted to our car, drove all the way back to like we called Civilization, where we could get out and talk about it. We were scared out of our minds.
Sure.
And that's the last interaction I had with Munchkinville.
And that was the grand finale on that one, huh?
Grand finale, yeah. So Munchkinville was a huge thing here in Cincinnati growing up. And I grew up in Fairfield, Ohio. So anywhere Fairfield, Ohio, around anywhere knew Munchkinville, and you'd try to go there, drive by and look for the evil midget carnival people. So anyhow, I'll put some pictures up of that in our show notes that we'll have on the website, so you can see what Munchkinville looked like, or the Handlebar Ranch as they actually called it.
Wow, nice. Well, from my local urban legend,
let's hear about it.
This takes place in Saraland, Alabama, which is where I went to college at the University of Mobile, a few miles from campus. Callioca Road. You just drive down this windy, wooded, dark road. And on this road was Crybaby Bridge. Now, I know there's a lot of Crybaby Bridges out there, and there's a lot of urban legends probably in every state, I would say. But this
for sure.
This is for Alabama, okay? Crybaby Bridge in Saraland, Alabama. Legend has it that back in the Civil War, there was a young mother who was escaping some soldiers from a local plantation that's right there. It's called Oak Grove Plantation. She escapes with her baby, is running away from these soldiers. Well, she's running down the road and finds a bridge, hides under the bridge in the creek. She hears the soldiers in the background. They're getting closer. Her baby is crying. And so what does she do? She holds the baby underwater to get it to stop crying so that the soldiers wouldn't find her. The baby drowns. And legend has it that you can go to that bridge day or night, and you can hear a baby crying. Okay. So that being just a few miles away from campus,
of course,
we would always load up as well and go out this dark road. And we would usually take some ladies with us, because there's nothing better than, a little scare factor.
Oh, yeah.
But let me tell you, this bridge is creepy. And there's like this abandoned little church that's just right there off the road in the woods that we would also walk to. Creepy. Right. I don't ever remember hearing any babies crying, because I know we went out there multiple times and it would be a one and done.
Was it just you crying that you heard? Is that
it might have been. It might have been, because it is creepy. And I'm reading up on this as well, because I was like, I know this legend because we went there, and I'm doing research on it too. And this one dude who made a whole YouTube video about it wouldn't even go on the bridge. He went out there and he's making a YouTube video and would not go on the bridge. He got too scared. I mean, it's creepy. It's creepy. And I remember us staying on that bridge at night and then walking down to that little train. It was creepy. But honestly, I'd never heard a baby cry. And if you are from that area and have done this, or you're in an area that has a crybaby bridge, hey, let us know about it. Because
I want to hear your experiences on this.
I want to hear it, because that's just one that I got to experience and just wanted to talk about a little bit. But every city has an urban legend. There's things they have everywhere. Yeah,
they do. And actually, what I would like to hear is people to write in our Facebook group, and we'll put some stuff out, some prompts for you. We want to hear about your local urban legend. You can leave it in a voice clip on there. You can just type it up, whatever. If you want to punch the story up a little bit with Chat GPT, go for it.
Whatever.
But we would love to hear your stories about your local urban legends, or what urban legends that we didn't cover today that you want to hear about it. Or you're kind of like your favorite urban.
What did we miss? This is just the tip of the iceberg.
We had probably like 30 to 50 different ones that we
come
up with as topic ideas. And being at Halloween today, we wanted to try to spook you out with some of the ones that we thought are creepy, or maybe you've heard in the past that you've been creeped out about as well.
Yeah, what a way to go with episode 1. And we teased a little bit at the beginning that we were going to do something a little special at the end, and I think it's about that time. I'm ready. Are you ready?
Before we get into it, let's talk about what this urban legend was.
Okay, so back in the 70s, 1971 to be exact, so early 70s, there was this commercial that was pretty popular. For Life cereal. Now, this commercial took place. It had 3 brothers, 2 a little bit older and a younger brother. And the 2 older brothers are kind of arguing. They're passing this bowl of healthy looking cereal around saying, I don't want to eat this. This is healthy. And then they're like, give it to Mikey. He hates everything. Like, Mikey's a little picky eater. So they pass the ball over to Mikey, and the dude loves the cereal. And he's like, he likes it, Mikey. So it's it played for 12 years, this commercial.
Yeah, Mikey likes it.
The urban legend is that that actor who played Mikey died by taking Pop Rocks and Coke and he died. And so
it's kind of risky doing this on our first podcast. We don't want to die.
We don't want just one episode. So if something happens, can somebody post this for us?
It's gonna be like the Blair Witch. Let's crack these open.
Let's a little ASMR for you. Here we go.
All right,
you ready?
Let's go.
Oh, went a little early.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
Let me get a little sip of this. Wet the whistle here.
Yeah.
I had to go with the Diet Coke because, like I said, I'm down 110 pounds.
Coke Zero and Diet Coke.
And this has 40 calories in it. So, but the things
I
do for you, I'm doing tropical punch.
I am doing strawberry. One of my favorites.
And
all right.
So Mikey, the actor who played Mikey, died by like putting Pop Rocks in his mouth.
Yeah.
And then drinking Coca-Cola. It made his stomach explode. Or so they think. So, fun fact, he became a marketing executive for the New York Knicks. So take that as you will.
He didn't die?
I don't know.
That's a relief.
Still alive. Yeah, but
all right, we're gonna give it a try for our people who are listening.
Yes,
just bear with us here for a second.
Yes. I'm gonna try to get you some popping action in the microphone here.
All right.
All right, here we go. I don't know if you can hear
that. This is so gross.
It's so tingly. All right, here we go. I'm going. Let me get a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Cheers.
Oh man, Tim, I don't.
Oh God, are you okay, Billy?
I don't feel so good, bro.
Oh my God, where'd you go? Billy, are you still out there? Billy? Oh, he's okay.
I'm all right.
we survived it.
But urban legends, y'all. The company that made Pop Rocks,
and we love Coke.
The original company that made Pop Rocks ended up having to sell this candy to another company because of the backlash from that urban legend. True story. And now I have Pop Rocks all over my desk.
You were supposed to put them in your mouth, my friend.
It's still popping. It's still popping.
Oh my gosh. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching or listening for our first episode of All the Everything podcast, we have, like I said, countless topics to talk about with you guys. We want to hear from you guys as well. And we want to show where you can interact with us at. You can follow all our socials. If you go to the link tree, All the Everything Podcast, or all our socials are at All the Everything Podcast also. And we would love for you guys to leave a written review on iTunes. It really helps us get out in front of other viewers as well and to pump this out. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you leave a positive comment for us because this podcast exists just for you, the listeners.
That's right. And so that's episode 1, the premiere, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great time.
I hope it came through well for your
so.
Halloween and made it a little spooky for you.
Yes, I hope you have a lovely and safe evening tonight if you're listening to this on Halloween. Hopefully you found this entertaining. We love y'all.